Alright, welcome to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It's your host with the most. So this one here, I don't know if you know or if you remember, I did a video. I did a couple of videos on Chucky Brown. Alright, so here is the icon that I used when I did the video on Chucky Brown. And if right now you go back to YouTube, if you want to watch that, just type in Rogue Cop Tells All SouFLoTV. This video is going to come up and you can watch what I said back then. The whole story about Chucky Brown now is this police officer that went into Indicom and tell upon himself and told on everybody else. But the outcome is what we're going to talk about in this video. Now let me put a face to the name so we know who we're talking about. It is this brother right here. Boy, you know them say, man, a killer. I'm speechless. Look on the man's face. He don't look like the type of person that has killed multiple people, does he? But the thing about it is that he has. You're looking at the face of a stone cold killer though, right? But a lot of people also say he was a hero. And what we're going, now that you know who we're talking about, moving along. What we're going to talk about today is this. All the names that Chucky Brown mentioned from higher ups in the JCF, how come he's the only one sentenced? And this right here is an icon that I took from my wife's channel who actually did a video on it. So if you type this in to YouTube, you can go to Brains and the Beat channel and actually go watch that video because she covered that aspect of it before and what was said there. Alright, back to the video. A police officer that turned to Indicom and spilled the beans, told on everybody because what he did basically was the whole death squad thing. I'm sure you're familiar with that, right? The whole death squad thing was operating out of Clarendon, and they're saying that there were other death squads across Jamaica at the time, right? So in other words, then these police officers were responsible for extrajudicial killing, and Chucky gave us a clear insight into the kind of killings they would do as police officers and how they would come about, like how the orders would come down from higher up and how they would actually go about doing these, right? So I did a video where I said Jamaican cop tells on himself and everybody else. Who would know that he would end up with a life sentence, just him, not him and everybody else that he told on? So in other words, then what they're saying is your story is credible enough to convict you, but me not think we really believe you about the rest of them. I'm sure he wasn't a squad by himself, right? So I'm waiting to hear what's going to happen further because there are a lot of us now that are saying, okay, well, if Chucky get a life sentence, then he shouldn't be the only one. Everybody else that got called up in that should be facing the same treatment as well. Otherwise, this ain't no justice system. This is a system that just made an example out of him by saying this. What you see, you don't see. In other words, don't talk or we will sink you. You know the whole good cop, bad cop, and people are saying, yeah man, good police out there, but the good police them see what the bad police them doing. So how are they good if they see it and they're not talking? Because them will lose them job, you know, and them have to fend for them family as well, you know. Them have bills to pay and a lot of them have good intentions. They really want to clean up the country, but they have to turn a blind eye to what their rogue counterparts do. Or is this a case of ain't none of them clean? So, trial judge Justice Vivian Harris had strong words for the murder convict police constable Collis Chucky Brown before sentencing him to life behind bars in the home circuit court on Friday. So there are a lot of people out there that are saying, yay, forget life, I'm more, all murderer, all wicked boy. Alright, a life is a life, right? Watch this. Some people are saying, a bad man, him did a kill. Them people that kill other people too. So, hey, germs are clean up germs. Leave your comment in the comment section below. Let's ride with this though, because this one I find very funny. And I have some choice words to say. So, a member of the so-called death squad that operated out of the parish of Clarendon from 2009 to 2012, Brown was found guilty of 3 counts of murder conspiracy to murder, and wounding with intent at the end of a near to 2-month trial last November, that is November of 2018. While scolding him, Justice Harris told the disgraced cop, I'm sourcing this from The Loop, while scolding him, Justice Harris told the disgraced cop that his conviction had brought the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, and the administration of justice into considerable disrepute. Alright. Harris told Brown that as a policeman, he had a responsibility to serve and to protect, which is right. She noted that instead, listen to this part, she noted that, Chucky Brown, you had a responsibility to serve and to protect as a policeman. Instead, you colluded with senior members of the JCF to carry out the extrajudicial killing of criminal suspects. Alright, stick a pin right there. Stick a pin right there. Alright, Judge, him guilty. Dash him away. Give him life. Watch this. But how come you are saying that means you're fully knowledgeable that he colluded, acted alongside, taking commands from, working with senior members of the JCF to carry out the extrajudicial killing of criminal suspects? Alright, so that means, right there, that statement tells me the judge is on the same page. Alright, so Judge, since we're on the same page then, what is going to happen to these senior members of the JCF that you speak about, that Chucky Brown colluded with to carry out these extrajudicial killings? What is going to happen to them? That is what we want to know over here. May I wait? Me want to find out. Because like I said before, if he's the only one that gets time like that, that is no justice. That only shows that the justice system, what should be called the injustice system, is actually sending a message, and the message is shut your mouth. Because remember, I know, nobody arrested Chucky Brown and then him start talking up. He willingly walked himself into these people's office and started telling everything. And according to them, when he came in and spilled the beans, they were flabbergasted. They were like, whoa, like, really? They didn't even have time to pull out a recording device. They just soaked it up. They told him to come back next time, give him a date, and told him, bring a lawyer with you when you come or something like that. And because, you know, you're implicating yourself also, right? And him say, yeah, man, me a talk, but me I tell everything. And he came back, and I don't know if he came with a lawyer. I think he came by himself, whatever. You know we're going to record this, right? Yeah, man. And told more. And we're talking about Indicom. 3 of those suspects who he, Chucky Brown, is or found guilty of, Dashwe, Damoy Gutty Dawkins, who was shot dead along the Palmer's Cross main road in Clarendon on January 10th, 2009, double murder of Andrew Fearson and Dwayne Douglas, and on December 13, 2012 on the Swansea main road, also in Clarendon. Harris described the killing of the men as extreme moral turpitude. She said the attempt by the police to mislead the public was particularly egregious. Okay, despite pleas for a short sentence from his family and community members, as well as his attorney Norman Godfrey, the 42-year-old married father of 5 was effectively sentenced to spend the rest of his natural life in prison. So, people, you have life sentence and then you have life sentence. This is a life sentence without the possibility of parole then. If he is to spend the remainder of his natural life in prison, he just got buried under the jail. This is sending out a strong message. And again, I really don't think that this man should be the only one. If he's going to get this, they can't take it back. There's nothing I see here that can be overturned. So we can say, yeah, so you go, him gone, but there are others that need to go with him also. Yeah? Then we will call it justice. Check it out. Believe it or not, there are people out there that say stuff like this. Chucky Brown was a good police here. Them man they make, when them man they deb out, them hot tail boy where run up and down and terrorize people, them boy they have to simmer. And you have to fight fire with fire. You know them people that will tell about you have to fight love, or you have to fight an aggressive person, an animalistic kind of person with love, and you turn one cheek and they thump you and broke your jawbone on the right side, and these dumbass people telling you about turn the other cheek, and you turn the other cheek and then broke the next side of your face. Like, in other words, then there are people that are saying it is justifiable to have these rogue officers of the law that are willing to carry out these covert operations, covert missions. And I must tell you that I have to be very careful how I say this, but I'm gonna left that one there. I'm not gonna say that one there. So, despite pleas of 4 short sentence, his family, the man have 5 picked and all that he gone to prison for life, his natural life. Brown had spent half his life, 21 years, in the JCF. But on Friday, he was sentenced to a combined 105 years behind bars. It could have been worse than 9 years. It could have been worse. But 9 years were knocked off for time spent behind bars and good antecedents. I don't know if to say that's humorous or what. So you knock 9 years off and you still end up with 105. So 114 years. Nobody's gonna live that long. Especially when you're already 40 something years old. So anyways, he will not be eligible for parole until he has served 51 years, by which time he should be 93 years old. His social inquiry report painted a picture of a family man who attended church regularly. Them said maybe him have to go talk to God regularly for him sins them because he was sinning heavily. He was described by family members as a mediator, very helpful and cool. His community described him as a disciplinarian. However, that did not sway Justice Harris, who told Brown that the country's high crime rate was no reason to take the law into his own hands. Rather, she told him that it was his responsibility to properly investigate the crime as a member of the constabulary force and to place those who break the law before the courts. Yes, it was also his responsibility to follow orders, and he did. Now let's talk about the people who was giving the orders. Because for some reason they keep going around and away from that, over it, under it, round it. Who was giving these orders? Who are these higher ranking JCF officials that she speak of, that he colluded with? For the murder of Dawkins, Brown was sentenced to life in prison and ordered to serve 20 years before he becomes eligible for parole. On the conspiracy to commit murder charge, he was sentenced to 8 years, while he received 15 years on the wounding with intent charge. Which brings me now to Kahir Jones. Just for a second, I'm going to go back and finish up with Brown thing. But, so Vybz Kartel, one of his cronies, Kahir Jones, now just got found guilty on this same charge right here, wounding with intent. On top of that, illegal possession of firearm and illegal possession of ammunition. if them can give out 15 years for wounding with intent alone, this should give you an idea how long they're about to sink Kahir Jones for. Remember me telling you, alright? Same way I told y'all about Ninja Man, that they was going to throw the book at him. Alright. The sentences are to run concurrently, meaning that Brown will be eligible for parole after serving 20 years. For the that's just for that half, you know. So now, for the murder of Douglas, Brown was sentenced to 31 more years now. He was also sentenced to 31 years for killing Fearson. Both sentences will run concurrently. So he was actually sentenced to 62 years, but 31 apiece running concurrently. He'll serve 31 for those. Both sentences will run concurrently, which means that Brown will also only do 31 years for that double murder. So 31 dessa plus 20 dessa before parole, because the court ruled that Brown must serve 20 years for the Dawkins murder, and that then 31 years for killing Douglas and Fearson. He will only become eligible for parole after serving 51 years. He was a part of the infamous death squad, which numbered 16, which operated with the full blessing of the senior superintendent of police in charge of the parish of Clarendon, and with knowledge of the police high command, the trial was told. Squad members reportedly hunted and executed criminal suspects as their way of managing the criminal problem in the central Jamaica parish. After carrying out the killings, squad members planted guns on their victims and staged the crime scene with support from the parish's Criminal Investigation Branch, the CIB. Several other cops linked to the squad were facing murder charges as well. I like how they left out the whole police commissioner thing from a higher order, because that part of the story was also told. Brown told about how the police commissioner at the time held a function and gave them awards for the killings and all these things. But they seem to be brushing that away. Who was the commissioner of police at the time? Let me give you a hint. There was a police commissioner that came on, I believe it was, I'm not gonna say what, but one television show in Jamaica, and said Vybz Kartel was responsible for a gang that is responsible for over 100 murders on the island. Do the maths. Oh, I was going to say also, in closing this, I find it very fishy, very suspect that a police commissioner could lose his US visa and that be swept under the rug. Go and do your own research. I don't have nothing more to say on that. Keem said, yet still the criminals walk free. Sarah Bright Luke said, my only problem is, why didn't they allow him to expose who had ordered him and others to carry out these acts? He did expose them. He said who it was. Why aren't any of the bigger heads arrested, she said. Same question me they are asked. He was willing to cooperate to get them down, but the system simply didn't want that. They only wanted him. The men and women calling the shots are still free and probably making more of those calls. Justice is still not served, in my opinion. And I'll leave that one right there. Leave your comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. It's SouFLoTV, man. I'm out. Peace.